Quarters Central. Greetings, greetings, greetings. How's everybody doing today? Yes, I hope everybody's having a great day, just like we are over here. Absolutely, we're just spreading some more to cheer through the year. And we are ready to start our day. Let's go ahead and do the needful. If you like what you're seeing, give us a like. If you like what you're hearing, no need to be fearing. Give us a thumbs up because it's just like cheering. If you like what you see and you like what you hear, go ahead and subscribe right over cheer. Those are 3 things that you can do right now. Won't cost you not even one thin dime. Yes. And in the meanwhile, let's go ahead and read our proverb of the day. Proverb of the day from Senegal is, the cow steps on the calf, but she does not hate the calf. The cow steps on the calf, but she does not hate it. Make sense? I hope so. I think that's good, solid advice. The cow steps on the calf, but she does not hate it. And that is a proverb from the country of Senegal. All right. And moving right along. We're going back into our story today. Ethiopian stories. This one being an Ethiopian revolt, or revolt in Ethiopia, otherwise known as a black insurrection. And I didn't realize how many chapters this story had. I thought it was a little bit shorter than it is. It's actually quite a bit longer. But the way this story came about by George Schuyler, however people like to say his name. The way this story came about is that it was first presented in the black newspapers. The newspapers that were all over the country, like the Pittsburgh Courier, etc., in a serialized format. So that's how this story first came to light, or some of his stories, I should say, first came to light. So they're short. Each chapter is short, but there's quite a few of them. So we're going to see how far did we get today. We're in chapter 4 right now. So let's see what's going on. If you recall, the characters are Dick Welland and Princess Etata Zunda from Ethiopia. And they're on a ship, and they're trying to solve a murder mystery, while at the same time, Brother Dick is trying to make sure that the princess returns to Ethiopia safely with the aid that she's bringing in the form of arms and other types of goods. I don't know what else all she's bringing with her, but that's what Dick has been told. When Dick left his cabin, Bill Sifton's enthusiasm for his affair was somewhat dampened, and he became more thoughtful. A man had been murdered, and his boss's 2 pistols had been stolen. Yes, Mr. Welland was right. It would pay to be careful, very careful indeed. Bill didn't have much education, but he harbored a whole lot of common sense. He was older than Dick by several years. He felt that he was the younger man's protector as well as his valet. He didn't at all like the looks of things with his boss evidently becoming involved. Bill didn't know anything about the Princess Zunda or Dick's encounter with Ras Restagusa, but he had a feeling that he ought to be close to the younger man. The Mediterranean beauty sensed his preoccupation. She crossed her leg higher and slouched so that the V in her dress collar revealed a great deal more than it had. The black fellow do not like Dona Gabrieli anymore? She inquired, arching her penciled eyebrows and losing a sugary smile. Yeah, he said, suddenly remembering her presence. Sure do, honey. Who wouldn't like a killer like you? My, my, my. He stood back from her and eyed her up and down. Stand up, he commanded enthusiastically, and as she obeyed, turning slowly around so he could survey her, he threw his long, muscular arms about her tiny waist and pulled her fiercely to him. Ooh, she exclaimed, so the American do like me a little. Yeah, he murmured, feasting on her rich, full lips. For a full minute, they stood there in the middle of the cabin, twined together like two vines, swaying gently to and fro with the motion of the steamer. He looked into her jet black eyes as into twin wells, and in their depths saw his own image, along with a great deal more that spurred him to bolder action. Sighs, revelations, explorings, cries, groans, and exclamations, chiding and laughter, shivers, and then exhaustion. Now, what was all that about? Bill reached over and poured both a stiff drink of scotch. They smiled delightedly at each other as they drank, then sank back into his arms like a white bud surrounded by dark leaves, and again sought his full Negro. Oh yes, he had some full Negro lips. Bill grinned contentedly. He was no hand for long courtships. He liked quick action. That's right, he's a man of action. What was the use of wasting time when you already knew what you wanted? All foolishness, he always said. She stirred her lithe body, and her big, bold eyes smiled into his. Yeah, he told himself, she was really a killer. And she had so much class. Bill wasn't used to much class in women. Most of his associates of the other sex had been what he called battleships. In other words, women who could work their wiles until midnight and then drink until dawn. This girl was delicate, aristocratic, classy. He began to speculate about her now that he had accomplished his end. Honey, where's you come from? Come from? She cooed inquiringly. What is this come from? I mean, what's your country, your town, where you hail from? Oh, mia patria. She hesitated, her eyes half closed. Then I am from Napoli. Do you know where that is? Uh-huh. Yeah, that's in Italy, ain't it? Oh, yes, that is right. Sometime you come here. Yes? Dona Gabriele, she will be glad, so glad to see you and be very nice to the black American. Italian, eh? He remembered what Dick Wellen had said to be careful. Then he dismissed it. He could take care of himself, Italian or no Italian. It was a cinch. He was going to have a swell trip. And what is your city? She asked. Well, I've lived all over America, he boasted, from Boston to Frisco. But I was born in Memphis, Tennessee, one of our states. How interesting that you have traveled so much. Oh, maybe you take Donya with you to America, no? Her eyes sparkled childishly. Where wouldn't he take a gal like that? Then he thought of a whole lot of places where he wasn't even allowed to think of beauties like Donya. Yeah, I bet he did, didn't he? Let alone going around with them, but there was no use discouraging her. He wanted to see her again. Yeah, baby, I'll take you to America, he lied. Anytime you feel like going. Ah, your master, he must be rich, she exclaimed insinuatingly. Sure he's rich, Bill boasted. He's about the richest black man in the world. Got plenty of oil wells, real estate, stocks and bonds, all kind of stuff. He can have anything he wants. And so can I. Ooh, she exclaimed, all ears. Maybe he like me, yes? Well, he likes pretty women, offered Bill, not over enthusiastically, of course. Maybe he go to Ethiopia on his trip. He might, but he ain't said nothing about it. Maybe he was the princess. She speculated ingratiatingly. What princess? Bill was genuinely curious. Was the boss really lined up with some princess already? The Ethiopian princess, Donya explained. She is very beautiful, very beautiful. Maybe he like her, huh? No? Maybe. Is she going to Ethiopia? I think she'd be afraid of the Italians. I don't know, she said, feigning indifference. Maybe you will find out, yes, and tell your master. Then he might go. They would make the nice couple. She looked very smart. Maybe she has some mission, eh? Donya was captivatingly suggestive and insinuating. As she talked, she cuddled, and her long, slender hands were never still. Bill wondered why Donya should be so interested in the beautiful Ethiopian princess. Huh. Very curious. It was so unwomanly to wish for a match between a rival beauty and an eligible man. This Donya was unusual, he told himself, and the thought kept recurring to him. When Donya finally left after a sizzling kiss in the doorway, something impelled Bill to follow her. She was evidently in a great hurry. She hastened down the corridor to the staircase and went up to first class. More curious now, Bill kept his eye on her. It was not customary for second-class passengers to go on the first-class decks, unless they were secretaries or attendants. Donya did not look like either. She was just too classy. Perhaps, mused Bill, she was like lots of white girls who are curious about Negroes and go out of their way to have an experience. Perhaps she didn't even live in second class. She turned down a companionway. He watched her at a distance. She stopped in front of a cabin door, looked quickly up and down as she knocked, then was suddenly admitted. Bill hurried by the door. It was number 16. He walked along the companionway until he saw the steward. He had met the steward before when the luggage was brought to the cabin. Hey, he hailed him up. The steward stopped with a smile of recognition. Who's that woman in number 16, he asked. Number 16, echoed the steward. There is no woman in number 16. That is Don Carlos Navarre, the great Spanish grandee. It is his cabin. He has no lady with him. Bill thanked him and passed on. What was Donya to this Spaniard? If she was Italian, he wasn't her countryman. She wasn't traveling with him. Was it another affair? If so, she was mighty hard to satisfy. He chuckled and started to go to Dick's cabin. Just then the door of number 16 opened. Bill stepped swiftly into a cross corridor and watched. A short, bearded brown man with a wide-brimmed black hat, a long black cape, baggy trousers, and sharp-pointed patent leather shoes emerged from the cabin, looked up and down somewhat furtively, then moved off in the opposite direction from Bill. In a moment, the door again opened. A squat, square-built man with fierce mustaches and eyebrows and a swarthy skin came out, and no less furtively than the brown man looked up and down the corridor, then hurried in Bill's direction. Bill hastily took out a cigar, and when the man was fairly close, began lighting it, thus shielding his face with his hands. The squat man passed hurriedly on. Bill frowned thoughtfully. Suspicion was replacing mere curiosity. Something was going on, he felt, and Donya Gabriele knew a whole lot about it. Without thinking much about it, he found himself following the footsteps of the swarthy, squat man. The fellow stopped in front of number 46, tried a key, then another key, then finally unlocked the door. 5 minutes later, a beautiful, tall, slender, colored woman hurried down the corridor and entered the same cabin. He heard a scream. Then he saw his boss, Dick Welland, race to the door and disappear within. Bill tossed away his cigar and hurried to follow him. Well, I'm so sorry, but we've reached the end of our time and another chapter down. So we'll read chapter 5 tomorrow. While I think about how much more of this book should I read. If you've been watching and you think I should read as much as possible between now and the end of March, because we're gonna finish it by the end of March, one way or another. Well, maybe I could go over a little bit, but I'm trying not to, because I'm trying to get back on track. So April is my month to get back on track, so we can start off at the beginning of the month with a fresh topic. So if you think we should read as much as possible, then send me a message. If you think, or chat me up. If you think I should just finish it tomorrow and leave y'all hanging in the middle of a story that's definitely a mystery with some exciting, what's the word for it? Things happening right now, let me know that. Okay? So either tomorrow I end or I continue. That is the question. Whether it is nobler to read as much as possible or to just end it right there and just leave you hanging, knowing that you're going to have a hard time finding that book out there in the public eye. Although you might be able to find it on Amazon. Good luck. See what you can find. In the meanwhile, it's time for us to go. I see we've got a few friends out here that have been watching. I see you over there, Imani, and I see Nabia. Hey, Nabia, how you doing this afternoon? All right. We're going to go ahead and close out. This is Doc Ock signing off. Please don't forget, if you like what you see, give us a like. If you like what you hear, give us a thumbs up. If you like what you see and you like what you hear, help us leave with no fear by spreading the cheer through the year and just subscribe below. Hit that subscribe button. That'll do it. Peace out. We'll be back tonight at 9 with more Ethiopian folklore. Peace out, y'all.